Alright, so I have recently been inspired to get my Ropeguide Twinline back out. I've been following a lot of Wyatt Spruck's videos on Instagram, and I love what he does in his tree lab, so he has inspired me to get this back out. And I wanted to show the Triple Line Ropeguide, I think is what it's coined by Reed Wortley. This is something I've seen him and also Paul Pointer do on Instagram, but I wanted to kind of make a video to demonstrate how to set it up, what that looks like, and then what I have tried to figure out what retrieval might look like, and just kind of get the discussion flowing on that, hopefully. So if you're unfamiliar with the Ropeguide Twinline, this is basically a super fancy canopy anchor that you can install from the ground. But we'll go through step by step how to install this, and then talk about how to make it a triple line rope guide. So first off, we're in my basement because it's winter and it's dark. But we're gonna pretend that I've got a crotch right here as a support. But what you're going to do first off, you're going to take your throw line and you're going to isolate around one pretty sturdy crotch, I would think, for this whole system. But what you're going to do is you're going to throw ball in there, and then once you've got your throw ball there, you're going to come down, you're going to bring your throw ball down, and you're going to tie your throw ball on just like you normally would to install your rope. But what you want to do with the rope guide, before you start yanking your rope up there, is you want to feed it through this cam from the bottom, and then ideally you want to hook it to your rope bag. So as you pull this up, the rope guide stays on the ground with you. So just demonstrate that real quick. All right. So once the rope is installed on the rope guide, you're going to make either a big figure eight on a bite with a big old fat loop on it, or you can do an overhand knot, whichever. I think the manual even says an overhand knot is actually quite all right. Whatever's comfortable, but you want a big old loop so that you can then girth it around the cocoon pulley into this kind of receiver that it has for it. So it looks something like that. All right. So once you get to that point, you've got it girthed around that receiver. You're going to take, this is their ally pulley that helps fair lead this ascent line, or this anchor line as you would call it. From there, normally what you would do is you can use this cocoon pulley for a double rope system, but in this case we're going to take just any old this little hank of rope. But basically we're going to pretend this is an SRT line, and we're going to take and we're going to make that into two halves, stick the bite through the cocoon pulley like that, and then you're going to give yourself another beefy knot blocking knot. In this case, I'm just going to tie a figure 8. I know Paul has shown that you can do a figure 9, and that probably works a little better. But from there, that's kind of what that looks like from the ground, and you're going to want to be sure that you don't forget your retrieval line. You're going to hook that to that bite. All right. So once we get to here, this is an important step. You're going to take the trapeze, which is basically how you retrieve this whole contraption. You're going to want to take this trapeze, and you're going to want to decide which of these two legs that we're going to want to retrieve from. For this instance, I'm just going to choose this one. That's how it all looks from the ground. And from here, we're going to hoist that up to our crotch. It's not going to look very pretty because this is just a board in my basement. Or something like that. And so, from here, we have, in theory, we have 1, 2, 3 SRS lines that we can climb from, all off of one canopy anchor up in the tree. The rope guide is rated and lets you climb on this ascent line as well. So we can climb on the blue line and the purple line. Both halves of the blue line and the purple line. So that is the basic setup. And what this allows you to do is kind of install, I think what's coined a spider leg or some sort of spider system in the tree. I obviously don't have a tree down here with me, but if we take and pretend we've got, we're up in the tree and say, let's, throw this over into a crotch. We'll just go with this crotch here for now, like that. And then we're going to take this purple line, pretend we're going to come over here and redirect over there. Now we've got a mini tree here. We have 3 different climbable lines that we can climb off of in the tree with us. So yes, it looks pretty wonky, it looks pretty confusing, I'm sure, but all 3 of these are climbable. So now my biggest question and my biggest head scratcher was, how do you retrieve all of this junk? Because you could potentially have one SRS system here, one SRS system here, and one SRS system here to move about and work the tree as you see fit. When you want to retrieve, obviously you're going to need to take all of those climbing systems off and descend on one of these ropes. When you get to the ground, you're going to take this retrieval rope and you're going to pull it down to the ground to you. You're going to unclip it and you're going to undo your knot. And this is important. You're going to want to figure out which of these halves is in your trapeze. So remember, I picked this half of the blue line from the start. So I'm going to pull out this portion of the blue line. And from here, I'll get my retrieval cone. From here, we're going to retrieve the rope guide. If you're familiar with it, we're going to retrieve it just like normal. Make sure that doesn't come off. And then pull this up. Retrieval ball comes up, goes through the cocoon, hits the trapeze, and now, with the help of the ally pulley, because we still have this rope in the redirect, you can pull your system back down to you, like so. And once you get it to the ground, you can take out this retrieval cone. If this, for whatever reason, if this is super long rope and it's not on the ground yet, you can pull that out as well. And then You bring this down, undo your knots, and take your rope guide off, and you're done. All right, so talking about some advantages of this system. Number one, obviously work positioning. You have quite a few options up in the tree when you're going to have this system, in theory. When you have this system in the tree, you could potentially work off of 2 of these lines at once, like so, or even like so, if you've got them, redirected, kind of like the picture shows. But you could also potentially, if you are out here, you could come in on this line to your middle green line, which is part of the Haft SRS line, and then walk all the way out here to this line, without ever having to come back up and around, kind of like you normally would, just so you have a suitable redirect. So that's, I think, probably the biggest benefit to this. The second is the canopy anchor part of it. Obviously with a canopy anchor, you don't have kind of the 2-to-1 anchor effect that you have with a base anchor, to where if I'm 200 pounds, I've got 200 pounds on one leg of rope, which means I've got 200 pounds up at the canopy, or sorry, excuse me, up at the crotch, instead of the times 2 for 400 if I had a base anchor. Number 3 being the rope guide itself. I think I might have mentioned this before, or if I edit this, maybe after, but the rope guide in and of itself has a sort of a breakaway lanyard built in, to where if you take a fall, or if your redirect breaks out, or just something crazy happens, this rope guide has kind of a built-in breakaway, to where it will dampen the force that is exerted on you, and also the force that is exerted on your tie-in, which is pretty sweet. And then number 4, I put competition. Pretty sure this won't fly at competition, but as is kind of mentioned before, I know this was mentioned in the Schultz effect, but spider systems, complex spider systems like this, can definitely have their advantages in masters climbs. Not speaking from personal experience here, because I've never been in a masters climb, but I could certainly see where it would be useful, especially again in a scenario like this. If we look at it, you have a bell on this side of the tree and a bell on this side of the tree. You could just simply go from one leg to one leg to the other leg, smack the bell, come down, and then retrieve all of this stuff out of it, if that's how you're working that competition or masters climb tree. But until unless somebody else figures out a better way to not block this, or use the stopper gate to not block it, or what have you, to where this is actually competition legal, you probably won't see this in competition. That being said, this can be done without the twin line. You can, well, you're not going to have this third anchor line to climb off of, but you can use a ring and ring to have both of these anchors, or excuse me, both of these lines in, or separate halves of the line in the tree. If you want to see a good example of that, check out Wyatt Spruck's Instagram, and he's got quite a few stories and posts about a system like that. So those are some of the advantages to the Triple Line Rope Guide. Alright, so obviously this Triple Line Rope Guide system offers you quite a bit of versatility and options up in the tree. The biggest one being that you can have all of these different lines spread throughout the canopy of a tree, especially a decurrent tree, that you can climb off of in the event that you need to work the whole tree. But I wanted to go over some issues or some limitations that might come with this system as is. So the first one of those being money. This Ropeguide Twinline is certainly not cheap. It is normally in the $300 to $350 range, because it is, and I agree that it should be that much, because it is such a well-built device. It has this cocoon pulley in and of itself is smooth as glass, and just rock solid. It has the built-in breakaway for a fall that can help relieve the stress on you and the anchor in case of a super large fall. And it's got all these other gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that. Another big limitation is you're obviously going to need a 200-foot line at least for the line that you're going to put on the bite or put in half by the bite, because you don't want to be working with a 100-foot line and only have two 50-foot lengths. I don't think you would ever want to use this system with that short of a rope. A bigger one, number 3, not blocking a pulley. And this kind of goes into the stopper gate as well. A lot of people are going to find issue with not blocking a pulley, because specifically it was not really designed to be used this way. But if you are comfortable with that, if you're comfortable and you trust you're not, and you're comfortable that this is something you would be willing to climb on, then go right ahead. I don't think ART is going to be liable if something were to happen to you or someone else should this system fail. Kind of skipping number 4, but number 5, the stopper gate. The Ropeguide Twinline is designed to go, if you SRTing off of this cocoon pulley in the traditional manner. It does come with, well, it doesn't come with, but you need to buy a separate piece of gear called the stopper gate that goes into this trapeze, and is actually a rated stopper for one leg of rope. You can basically put that on this end of the cocoon. It clips into the trapeze, and then you can put your alpine butterfly or stopper knot or what have you in there. So that is what they provide for you to run two legs of SRT. So you would have your anchor line and then just another SRT line. So that might be another barrier for this system. And then number 4, and this is the one that, you know, it kind of made me scratch my head for a while, was limited retrieving. When you are retrieving this system, you're going to have to make sure that when you pull this system down like it is, that you have that you do have enough rope, so that when you pull on this system, it doesn't just completely pull out of the pulley, especially your trapeze leg, because then if it does that, you're kind of screwed. and you would have to climb back up your anchor line and through a redirect or what have you to get back up to your rope guide. All right, so number 4, again, the limitations, limited retrieving. Just to reiterate, the limitation here is that this retrieval line, the trapeze, is going to needs to be on one of the 2 bites, and it cannot be through a redirect. This has to stay basically in the middle of the tree, because it's normally where you're going to try and shoot. This needs to be no redirect, and it needs to be pretty much a straight path to the ground, because otherwise, if you switch these 2, the trapeze is going to want to take it through a redirect, and that's not going to work, because you're going to have to get this whole bundle of stuff through a crotch or something like that, and if it's a tight crotch, it's not going to happen regardless. All right, so the 4th item on the limitations is limited retrieving. You can see I've got it set up a little differently here. This time we've got the anchor line is not through, isn't through any sort of redirect. What we run into here, the problem that we run into, is when you do retrieve something like this, you are going to run into the problem of the trapeze. Say we bring that down to us, say we put our retrieval ball on it and pull it to us like that, and then it clicks in. This is now now you have to pull it through your redirect, which is really going to give you a hard time, because not only are you not pulling straight down, which definitely makes retrieving easier, you're going to have to pull this whole system, including this other rope, through your redirect, and if you've got a tight crotch, that's not going to happen. So that is kind of a big limiting factor. So that is my take on the Triple Line Ropeguide, as kind of coined by Reed Wortley, and I hope this kind of generates some more discussion about complex systems like this, because I know I certainly enjoy seeing other people's videos and things about it, other complex systems, and I hope this just gets the discussion flowing. So, all right, thanks for following along.